What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about what Kojima's next game is, kind of go over the news that we heard yesterday, and it's, for the most part, it's relatively fresh news, right? That basically, it's pretty darn easy. Kojima Productions is working on, or they're actively, very actively working on their next game, their brand new game. And they do kind of say that, like it is a new game. Now, that... to me, I don't know if that gives any hints as to, would they have said that any differently if it was Death Stranding 2 or, if it was whatever. But they're hiring basically like the world's elite to be able to work on this game. But that is exciting. I don't know what they've been doing for the past, year, because Death Stranding came out last November, and now here we are now, and there's, well, let's break this down a little bit. So, what's he working on, or what are they working on? And also, what are they working on with or for, however you want to word that? Well, remember, there was a lot of rumors that he was doing a Silent Hill game. Not Silent Hills. That game is seemingly being worked on by Sony Japan, with the help of Team Silent, licensing the rights to it by Konami. Okay, very, very different. Don't forget, if you include the S, you're just jumping into a brand new game. So Silent Hill, again, was rumored that Kojima was working on. Seems like that's not true. Obviously, there was a lot of rumors and indicators, even like I remember actually I covered it on one of these, I think I covered it on Podcast Now, back in like late November, December, and January. He was teasing a lot of things of Death Stranding, of like additional things. Now, at the time, it was like, okay, well, could it be DLC? Could it be a Death Stranding 2? Could it be, something? And we know since then, obviously it's come to PC. There's the official soundtrack. But beyond that, and there's rumors, of course, that it's coming to PS5. That's actually a recent thing that they're thinking about, or they're actively like talking about doing it. So like there could be more Death Stranding, but for the most part, we haven't gotten more hints that that's what they've been doing. There were also rumors that they were working on a very big project that they scrapped. So I guess not the greatest thing, kind of with all eyes on them over the last year or so. Well, actually, for many years before that. But, you have Death Stranding released last November. And then, all eyes were kind of on them. And it seems like the track they took is that they were working on some game, and then they canceled it. And now they're working on a new game, maybe starting over the past couple months. Not the greatest in the world, definitely slows them down, but they made Death Stranding in like record timing, much, much faster than anybody, including myself, we're giving them credit for. I thought it would take many, I thought actually, to be honest with you, I didn't even think we'd get Death Stranding by now. I thought this would be a game that they could even push, into the PS5. So, bravo to them. There's also, remember, Hideo Kojima did say like he was watching a lot of horror films and getting himself amped up for a horror genre kind of game. So that's kind of where we were last left off with. I think that's where I still want to honestly stay, because you have Death Stranding, and it was such a far out there idea, and it did reasonably well. But remember, it didn't do like incredible. Okay, it did not do incredible, and I think that's more important also to discuss when we look at who's the publisher, because that's a big thing, right? Who's the publisher going to be? But Silent Hill would have been up that alley. It seems like that's not happening. So maybe a brand new, built from the ground up horror game, a brand new IP that's a horror game in the horror genre. I think that makes sense. I think that's what it absolutely could be. And then, like I said, final thing really after that is who's publishing it. So we know Kojima Productions is independent. Okay, they're their own company. It's Hideo, and then the group he basically stole, brought over from Konami once that whole thing, the whole fallout happened. So look, Sony published Death Stranding, okay, exclusively for the PlayStation. They haven't bought Kojima. Kojima's still independent. I've always thought that Kojima probably stays that way. I mean, he's in his early 50s. You can't imagine he's going to be around the gaming industry forever, right? Everybody has that point where they're eventually just going to exit the industry that they're in, right? I mean, through retirement or something. So, and also with what happened with Konami, you got to wonder if he would ever want to be in that situation again. You know what I mean? With everything that happened with Konami, does he want to put himself into a situation where he's basically stuck with the company? Now, he kind of did that with Death Stranding with Sony, but I mean, there obviously has always been a partnership there. So it'll be interesting to see who actually publishes it. Do they have something maybe in the works where they will self-publish? Will Sony do it again? It'll be another, a PS5 exclusive. I mean, Death Stranding, again, didn't do spectacular, but I mean, it brought so many, I think, additional eyes to the PlayStation, right? I mean, that game, especially online, like through trailers and through all the stuff they showed, I mean, that game got probably more than, I would say, the majority, like 95% of games get online. Now, again, that didn't necessarily, in fact, it did not translate to like sales. This was not a game that sold 10 plus million units. This was a game that sold like 5 or 6, which is still, in my opinion, really good. In fact, I even predicted this game would sell actually 5 million units. So when I saw those numbers, I was like, that's pretty cool. But it didn't do spectacular, it didn't do like out of this world, like maybe they would have thought. So does that make Sony be like, yeah, there's literally nobody like you, Hideo. Like, there's not a person on planet Earth like you that can tell your stories, that can do it the way you do. And we'll support you, but we're not going to spend an enormous, which you got to imagine Sony spent, an enormous amount of money to make this game just come out on PlayStation or kind of have that partnership. So we'll have to see where it goes. Again, a little disappointing that from what we can kind of piece together by the puzzle, it seems like they were working on a game. Maybe they were working on a horror game in general, and then they canceled it, and now they're starting a new game over the last couple months. Again, is Death Stranding 2 a possibility? I do think it is. I would not, I know I didn't talk about that, so we can quickly say that and then, head off the video. I really do think Death Stranding 2 is possible. I mean, even the way the game ended, I mean, you could totally do a second one. I really do believe. I mean, to expand that universe, which is already confusing enough, into another one, I mean, it would be overkill, but I mean, that's just the kind of the way they do it. But I would not mind at all, a Death Stranding 2. I think a lot of people, remember, Death Stranding, again, the sales are the sales, but in terms of like reception, some people thought this was the greatest game of our time, of the generation. Maybe even in terms of, probably in terms of storytelling. A lot of people thought it wasn't a game at all and it was complete garbage. And that's kind of what Hideo Kojima does, right? Is he makes people very, very split on his products, which honestly, again, we really don't have anybody like that. And even if you do hate him or if you hate his games, there is kind of something special to that. So I wouldn't say no to a Death Stranding 2. I just feel like I would go so far to say that because of the sales, I'd imagine because the sales weren't the best thing in the world, that they would probably say, all right, let's, we could take a lot of the assets from Death Stranding. I mean, we can totally, and because, again, Death Stranding feels a lot like Metal Gear. And so I would imagine the next game, even if it's not Death Stranding 2, would probably still feel a lot like Death Stranding, right? Keep all your games somewhat similar in terms of how they feel, how they look. I feel like that's what they would do. And that's absolutely fine. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think he's making a Death Stranding 2? Do you think it's a horror game? Do you think maybe he is doing Silent Hill and he's just lying about it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video on this channel every single day. And so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.